Now I'm going to skip ahead in this video a bit so that I can demonstrate some other things that have changed in, in the way that we make the choices about what words to include in the caption. So let's just start with having a listen to this section.
Let's just go through the list of the minds checklist. Nothing going on, well, pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person. Dull, you got nothing to contribute to this life, taking up space.
Okay, so let's back up. So even here with this caption, let's just go through the minds checklist.
Let's just go through the list of the minds checklist.
So Mooji actually says, let's just go through the list of the minds checklist. Now we've left out we've left out the word list of the minds checklist and replaced it with the minds checklist. And the reason we've done this is because, one, it's more clear, we feel. It doesn't change the meaning of what he's saying and perhaps would remove some confusion for non-English speakers. The other thing is that it reduces the length of the caption and therefore reduces the read rate of the caption, which is helpful in this case because of the length and the read rate of the preceding caption. So it just creates some more space. So if we look at this previous caption, I'll quickly raise another point about what's changed. So in the past in the guidelines, we would have directed you to create a certain visual balance in the stacking of captions. When we have two lines in a single caption, we would have asked that we create this sort of even line length, or as close to even as possible. We've also in the past referred to pyramid stacking. So when we do have two lines of different lengths, we had a preference to have the shorter line on the top and the longer line on the bottom. So clearly this is not what we're doing here. We've got quite a long line on the top, 48 characters, with a 13 character line underneath. And here what we've done is we've chosen to keep the preference of separating according to grammatical units, phrases, as the priority when we're choosing how to present words on the screen. So in this case, I mean, if there's pretty much nothing going on, is it boring? So by having I mean, if there's pretty much nothing going on the first line, we've kept that phrase intact, and this makes it more clear in meaning, perhaps, for some people. It also makes it easier to translate, perhaps, in some languages. So that's another difference. Now, if we back up again and listen.
I mean, if there's pretty much nothing going on, is it boring? Let's just go through the list of the minds checklist. Nothing going on, well, pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person.
So here again, we've the sync timing is a little bit different than we may have done in the past, and we've left some words out of this phrase as well. So what Mooji actually says,
Going on, well, pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person.
Mooji says, well, pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person. And we've chosen to change that, well, you're a pretty uninteresting person, because it doesn't change the meaning of what's being said. It reduces the word count and perhaps makes it a bit more clear for non-English speakers. Another thing you'll notice here is the way that we sync time this. Mooji actually says well a little bit sooner.
Going on, well,
He actually says well back here. So if we sync timed it according to the way the words are spoken, what happens is we end up with a very short caption, nothing's going on. The read rate is still acceptable, but we have a new preference to avoid having captions that are only just over a second long on the screen. So in order to take care of that, and because there's a pause between well and the next word, we choose to sync time it differently. So instead, let's just have a listen.
Pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person.
So we sync time it with your.
Nothing going on, well, pretty much you're a pretty uninteresting person. Dull, you've got nothing to contribute to this life, taking up space.
Okay, so we feel that even though the sync timing doesn't match the way the words are spoken, this is another case like the one I showed previously, where we've chosen to do the sync timing on another word in the phrase or sentence in order to create more space for the previous caption, and where we feel like it's not distracting and doesn't compromise the meaning of what's being said, and perhaps even makes the meaning more clear by presenting it at the time that we do on the screen in a single phrase as opposed to breaking it up. So hopefully that's a bit clear. Let's just watch a bit more of this.
Dull, you've got nothing to contribute to this life, taking up space. Whatever. So is it dull? Is it bland? Let's get it out into the open. Or really is it indescribable?
Another thing that's different here that you can see as a change from the previous guidelines is how long we leave a caption on the screen. In the past, we've indicated in the guidelines that we only want to leave a caption on for about a second beyond the end of the speaking. And as long as this created a gap between captions that was not less than a second long. So in the past, we would have ended this caption sooner instead of bringing it in to the start of the next caption as we've done here. And this is just a change that we've made in the guidelines based on feedback that it's better to leave the text on the screen longer, that it's not disturbing, that it's not annoying, that it's not a problem to have the text on the screen for much longer after it's spoken. That's better. It gives more space for the reader to take their time to read it, and that this is preferable to having captions sort of appear and disappear with these spaces in between. So that's something that we can see here, and also with this next caption. Let's have a look.
That there's no fixed thing you can say about yourself.
So in the past, we would have ended this caption about here and left a gap of, about 4 seconds between this caption and the following caption. But we've changed that guideline to say that we prefer that we just leave the caption on screen unless there's a very long silence, or perhaps when there's a transition from one thought to another. There may be cases where we leave a smaller gap on the screen, a gap between captions on the screen, but in most cases we'll just have one caption follow into the next.
Those thoughts do come up. Is it dull? Is it bland? Is it boring? And it's not quite that.
One more thing that I'll point out here is this caption where we indicate the questioner. So here we are using the first initial followed by the full stop to indicate that it's an abbreviation for questioner. So in the past we would have put the first letter followed by a colon, and that's a change that we've made. We're not using colons inside of the square brackets anymore to indicate speakers, and we are using the full stop mark to indicate that we are abbreviating the word questioner. So that's a change. Now, if we look a bit further along, we can see that in some cases we have much longer lines than we would in the past. So this caption that I'm highlighting now is 47 characters on a single line. In the past, we would have split this into 2 lines like I've indicated before, maybe like this. But now the preference is, as long as it's under 50 characters, we prefer to keep it on a single line. Here's another case of a caption that's split over 2 lines with the first line being quite a bit longer, 42 characters, than the second line, which is only 15 characters. And this again is to separate on the phrases. So we've got the prepositional phrase with the world alone on the second line, and the phrase but your communication, communion, contact on the first line. This next caption is 64 characters long, which is longer than we would have created captions in the past. But as long as we're sort of under 80 characters, 80 is getting a bit high, we try to keep it around 60 characters maximum, but 64 characters is okay for a caption. Here's an example of demonstrating that we're using the English spelling, the British English spelling, and grammatical rules. So this hasn't always been true in the guidelines either, but this is the case. So in American English, we would spell this program, and in British English, UK English, we spell it this way. So there's a demonstration of that. Here's a line that's 49 characters long. So again, as long as we stay under 50 characters, there may be some exceptions to that where we would have longer character count when the read rate's very rapid. But 49 characters on a single line under the new guidelines is okay. So we'll stop there with this video. I hope that this was helpful. This tutorial was helpful for you. We will have other tutorials to demonstrate some of the other finer points of the changes. Thank you.